I think they're drinking something other than tea, because I think we, James, talk more about UFOs on our show, have more guests on our show about UFOs and implants and abductions and cattle mutilations than probably any other show out there that is dedicated to, well, conspiracies and the paranormal.
I have to agree with you. I mean, just some of the guests we've had. I mean, from, I don't know, Calvin Parker to Whitley Strieber to Jim Peniston. There's three big names right there.
Bruce McAfee. I mean, we can go on and on and on with, and Timothy Cullen is a major player out there. I mean, again, he was smart enough to realize after the doctor said, hey, you got something in your wrist, that he contacted the late Dr. Roger Leir, and they determined it was an implant of an alloy that was not, manufactured on our planet, not compounded. It couldn't have been compounded on our planet. So what's that tell you? So we cover all this stuff that the other shows, honestly, they maybe talk about it once every 2 weeks. We're talking about it several times a week. And it's not going to let up anytime soon, because you know what? Yes, we got ghost hunters on here, and we talk about other time travel and other things like that, but that's not what the people want to hear as much. They want to hear about UFOs and abductions, and that's what we're trying to do, is bring enough people on here that claimed that they've been abducted where you can make a decision. By the way, a guy in Colorado says, I really suck after this. It failed. He got caught. He got caught trying to steal 3 cars, the police said. This Colorado man says, I just really suck at being a crook.
Well, I got a feeling that defense isn't going to go lenient on him just because you admit that you suck at being a crook. You shouldn't be a crook out stealing cars, for the love of God.
Especially 3 of them. Isn't that a little greedy?
Yeah, a little bit. He probably had somebody buying them, I'm sure, for Chop Shop.
Yeah, then in Texas, I didn't think it was dry enough. But, because people have been telling me, even in Texas, it's been cold and they've been getting a lot of rain. But evidently, in this guy's property, it was dry enough. They gave their son a nice magnifying glass for Christmas. What's he go and do? Well, he goes out in his front yard and starts, trying to magnify the grass and see if he can start a little fire. And he did a good job. He burned up the whole front yard.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Texas is a huge state, so some of it could be dry and some of it could be wet. But you got to be careful how young you give these magnifying glasses to, because they can do some devious things.
Well, could you imagine, setting the house on fire with one? I don't know. A Pennsylvania woman who lit a motorhome on fire while she was wearing an Act Crazy t-shirt told the police, the shirt made me do it.
The shirt made me do it. That I don't think that defense is going to hold up too well either. The shirt made me do it defense. It may, but so far it hasn't. It's amazing that people, their train of thought is just bizarre.
Well, Caesar Casino in Canada is sued by a compulsive gambler because the casino failed to stop him from gambling. So he's suing for $342,000 that he said he lost during 2 visits. $342,000 in 2 visits. The guy should pick up another hobby.
Yeah, I mean, he actually thinks the casino should have knew better. Everybody goes into a casino more than likely, percentage-wise, either loves to gamble or has a gambling problem. It's not the casinos. The casino don't have psychics out front saying, well, you're an addicted gambler, you can't come in. No, these people's train of thoughts, it's like they're blaming everybody else but taking responsibility for themselves.
Well, I have a relative that saved up $18,000 to buy a house. Wow. And interesting, I hear a lawnmower. And there we go. I'm on the internet reading these stories. So anyway, this relative, saved up all this money, right, to buy a house. All of a sudden figures, well, I can double my money. I'll start going to the casino. Now, the first time he goes to the casino, he wins like $600. He's now really hooked on going to the casino. Within 3 months, he had no money left. Now, what's that tell you? The casinos, if they were out giving people money, right, and everybody won, they wouldn't be in business. So, I mean, take it as this. When I go to the casino with my wife, I give her $20. I take $20. When the money is done, we're done. But, it's just like entertainment. You go to the movie, you pay your $20 to go see a movie. I go to the casino to watch people lose.
That's one way of looking at it. But they are set up to make money. They're not there for you to win. And you have to set, if you're going to go there, you got to set your little goals or limits, and you've got to go by those. If you hit something, you can't say, well, now I'm playing on house money and keep going and going and going. Best thing to do if you do win something is just turn around and leave. Come back another day.
Okay. Somebody just brought me a hamburger and potato salad.
Okay.
And I got to figure out, how am I going to eat this doing a show? It don't make sense here. Why do they torture me? You know what happens here? It's going to sit for 3 hours. And then at the 3-hour mark, I'll start eating it, and it's going to be cold and icky. What is going on with people? They're torturing me in this household. Anyway, a man in reindeer slippers attempts to steal a woman's wheelchair as identified to the police because of his, he was caught basically because he's the frickin' slippers.
Yeah, All Points Bulletin. Have you seen these reindeer slippers? It's a thief, and he's up to no good. That's a telltale sign there's not many people running around with reindeer slippers.
Well, here's another stupid bank robber. I mean, how stupid do you have to be? You go in and you give a note to the teller that says, I want all your money. I got a gun. On the back of a note, it has his name and address on it.
That's pretty, that's what you call dropping the ball right there. My goodness. Yeah. Hello.
Well, can you imagine how hard it's going to be for the police to catch the guy? It's going to be rather, interesting, isn't it? They're going to go knocking on the door, and the guy's going to go to the door. Hi. Well, hey, we're arresting you for bank robbery. What bank robbery? Well, is this your handwriting? I don't know. A man caught driving a stolen SUV on the way to bail his brother out, who was arrested for stealing, believe it or not, an SUV.
Oh, boy. Some people don't learn. That reminds me of the story that happened here recently. A lady was going to court for DUI and suspended license. And why she was going to court, guess what? She was driving, and she was drunk again, and she had no license again. Can you imagine the judge, you're going to court for the charge, and you're getting charged again while you're going to court for that charge? That's not good.
No, and how many, I don't know. In Washington State, back about 15 years ago, you could go to court 5 or 6 times before they'd lock you up. But, nowadays it's different. You get one of them, and you got a good chance you're going to spend a little time in the slammer. Well, a woman, maybe she was intoxicated, both on drugs or something else, hops in a zoo enclosure and dances in front of a lion. The lion was so confused it just stopped and stared at her while they rescued her.
Boy, some people like to live life on the edge. Oh, my. That's kind of similar to the story last year with the camel down in Louisiana when the lady went in the cage and the camel sat on her or something like that. But that one was lucky to be alive. Lions are no joke.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even if they're halfway, no way. A man goes in the store and steals. Now, he's on the video camera. They know who he is. But then he comes back later looking for a job.
He must have really liked that place when he was in there stealing from them. Some people, again, some people like to return to the scene of the crime.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were out stealing from a store, why would you go apply for a job that you've been stealing from? I mean, that don't make sense.
No, not at all. Obviously, some of these people out there, I don't know what they're not thinking, but I know if I was stealing from a place, that would be the last place I would go to be, hey, can I have a job here? I really like your merchandise.
Oh, yeah. A woman driving, a kid's toy truck, the electric trucks that go like 2 miles an hour. The kids sit in them, and they go. Anyway, the lady, is in this truck. Now, we're talking an adult lady, and she leads police on a slow pursuit, chase.
Oh, boy,
and they finally caught her when her battery, expired.
You'd think they would just run up beside her and grab a hold of it and stop it and say, "Get out of the Jeep, ma'am." But now, you suppose they give her a breathalyzer like they did that donkey?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for the people that don't, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but here's what happened here about a week and a half ago. A police department or a sheriff's department, I'm not sure which one of their officers sees a mule walking on the side of the road. And the mule, I have horses, miniature horses. I know how they walk, okay? They walk like they're intoxicated. Well, he decides he's going to pull this mule over and give it a sobriety test. and arrests the mule. And then other backup units come. I wonder what they said to the guy afterwards. I mean, why would you give a sobriety test to a donkey? I think they should have gave the sobriety test to the officer who pulled the donkey over. But I'm sorry. I had to laugh at that because it was the most ludicrous story of the whole 2019. That one topped it all off.
That one I can't shake. I still think about that one every time I see it.
No, I know which one it gets you. Is the mortician.
The what?
The mortician.
Oh, yes.
And if it isn't the mortician, it's the boa constrictor or whatever it was in the toilet. Yes. It kind of, a guy sat down in a restaurant in the toilet to do, his thing while his date was in the, eating, and a boa constrictor, decided to come out of the toilet and saw something dangling and doing something there and bit down on him and wouldn't release him.
Oh, my goodness, that poor guy. Listen, I do not go into restrooms at restaurants since I've heard that story, just so you know.
I don't know. I did. You know what? I looked out before, and it was a week before that. A rattlesnake came out of one.
Yeah, I actually seen that on TV. You're lucky you don't get bit by that and die. I seen the show where they had to wrestle that thing out of the toilet. A live rattlesnake.
That is so crazy. I mean, how many people seriously they look and make sure it's nothing on the toilet seat? But then maybe in this guy's case, that when he looked down at the toilet, right, there was no snake there at that point. It's after he sat down there, the snake kind of slithered his way and came out and said, "Hey, I'm hungry. It looks like a giant mouse."
Yeah. It probably was tucked back in there ready to ambush. That's what they do. And, it heard something and stuck its head out and was like, "Hey, there's a couple mice. Let me investigate that."
I had a dream about that. The dream was so realistic that the guy was sitting, right, and the snake grabbed him, right, and then started devouring the guy. You know how snakes can actually swallow, a deer, they can swallow a human. Because in India, there was a case where a woman was sleeping and a snake, decided it was going to start consuming her and swallowing her while she was sound asleep. But could you imagine?